Please give it up for Tracy Rowland.
The story starts with somebody shouting my name, followed by applause, except there's only one person applauding, and it is me. And the person yelling out my name is the cheerleading coach who has just announced my spot on the squad after 8 tryouts, possibly 9, maybe even 10. All I know is that I put way more effort into this than my college applications because priorities. And I wasn't really a big sports fan. I wasn't even really like a South Shoe fan, but I was an absolute devotee disciple of my oldest sister, who was a cheerleader. And those footsteps I had to follow. And this was back in the era. This was not like the Bring It On style of sort of ESPN kind of dance cheerleading. This was the Oh Mickey, You're So Fine kind of chubby girls robot cheerleading. So you'd think it'd be an easy get, right? But no. It was easy for my sister, first time out. But for me, it took 8 to 10 tryouts. So when, following those footsteps, like when they finally called my name, it was seriously like the moment when like Luke Skywalker's X-Wing fires straight into the Death Star's thermal port, which is an analogy I couldn't say out loud in that particular room with that particular crowd, because those were the cool girls, and they were my new friends, right? Well, no, because they were all gathered around their fallen comrade, because mine was the last name called. And so when they called my name, I squealed in disbelief, and the rest of the room went silent in disbelief. And they looked from me to Rita, who did not make the squad for the first time since kindergarten. And I did not even know there were kindergarten cheerleaders. I would have tried out. So they're like simultaneously, consoling Rita, who is inconsolable. I mean, seriously, it is like she lost her entire family in a fire. She did not make the basketball cheerleading squad. And then they're staring, death daggers at me, and I'm thinking, okay, we might not be braiding each other's hair and talking about boys right away, but it'll happen. And then it didn't matter because I was handed the uniform, this blue and gold polyester key to the kingdom. And it was itchy. Smelled like the last girl who wore it, but it was magic. And when I paired it with my older sister's hand-me-down saddle shoes that were about a half size too small, smelled like Cheez-Its, it didn't matter. This was going to make high school fun. I finally had the right ingredients. And when I put my uniform on that first day and went to school, because we got to wear our uniforms to school on game day, made a big difference. And I changed the way I walk. Partially because my feet hurt, and then partially to sort of make my butt go from side to side. Because at 17, who doesn't have a great ass, right? And then also had a little walk that kind of like made my skirt sort of flip up a little, which revealed legs that were copper toned so carefully that they were only the tiniest bit orange, with just a couple streaks. And the orange palms that I had when I forgot to wash the stuff off, according to the directions, I just covered a little bit on a fingerless gloves, because that was the style. And why not just go straight from cheerleader to slutty cheerleader in my first day? And so, in geometry class, I walked to the head of the class to sharpen a pencil that did not need it. And that took me sashaying right past the desk of one handsome Mike Fisher, who was all leaning back, and he gave me the up and down through these kind of half-lidded eyes, and he said, "Hey," and I'm like, so it begins. So they'll let anybody be a cheerleader, won't they? So my walk back to the desk was slightly less flouncy. Once my cheerleading prowess was condemned by the mighty Mike Fisher, and I wasn't getting any more support in the gym amongst my new peers. They were rattling off, cheers and instructions, and they had this lingo, they had this shorthand. It was honed through years of doing this as a team, and I would be like, "What's a peel off? What's a whatever?" And finally, Nita Miller was just like, "It doesn't matter. You're just going to be on the bottom of the pyramid." And she was right, for I was biggish. And here's the thing though, the bottom of the pyramid is a really powerful place to be. You can totally tap into all the other girls' fears. So there's one big fear that a cheerleader has. And when Nina is on my shoulders and I'm grunting to try to pick her up and I'm herself an imaginary hernia, I made her believe that she was getting fat. And it was a cheap victory, but worth it. And I had one ally in the gym, and he was out on the floor, and he was a basketball player, and he was Jim Finn. He was a 5'6" point guard, and he strutted down the hall in his too big varsity jacket, and he was the guy that made the Mike Fishers of the land say, they'll let anyone play varsity basketball, and he didn't care. And he was the me of the basketball team, and he was my player. He got me as his personal cheerleader. Not as slutty as it sounds, because every basketball player, when they did something fancy, like block a shot or sink a shot, got a personal cheer from their hand-picked personal cheer. No, of course I got Jim Finn. I didn't get like the captain, get the guy I had a crush on. But so when somebody did something fancy, his personal cheerleader would jump up and she would do something that she had choreographed specifically for him, but the words were the same. So it was Joe Smith, or whoever. So these were the words. Joe Smith, hip hip, Raw Joe, Raw Smith, Raw Joe Smith. Let's get a cheer for Smith. It was Longfellow set to clapping. And so we each had our cheer. And my Jim Finn cheer was epic. It was just my grandstanding. It was my end zone dance. It was my just moment in the spotlight. It was my free willy leap to freedom. I put everything into this cheer. Everything that I couldn't do while standing on the bottom of the pyramid, I put into this. I did a cartwheel. I did what is called a pony jump, which I could not forget what pony do now, and jazz hands. It had everything. It ended in a split, which looked terribly painful because it was. And at least in practice, because I never got to actually do this cheer because Jim Finn never actually got to get off the bench. So once in a blue moon, it'd be the guy who's like, hey guys, I'm here, and he'd just be ignored. And so, I practiced that cheer religiously more out of solidarity than out of necessity, because it wasn't going to happen, And before every game, he'd be like, today's the day, you got my cheer? And I'd be like, And then I'd read my 17 magazine, I got you covered. And so then, towards the end of the season, Anita Miller corners me in the locker room. She goes, give me your Spankies. And Spankies are the sort of solid colored pants that you'd wear under your skirt so that when you flip over, it's a uniform line of blue butts and not a variety of days of the week in flowered underwear. These were thankfully the days before thongs. So, we all had Spankies. And Anita Miller was demanding mine. And I'm like, this seems like terrible payback for like the whole I'm having a hernia prank. And no, what had happened was she forgot hers. And I was like, you don't forget your Spankies, okay? That is a rookie mistake. Even I don't forget my, that is like a football player forgetting his cup. And you don't do it more than once. And sucks to be you, Anita Miller. And like, I'm not even done with my little, victory dance before she snatches them out of my locker and runs. And no one's gonna help me fight her to get it back. And she's little, but she's wiry. And so I have to trot out into the gym with like 2 inches twixt the crowd and my big flowery granny panties. And I was kind of a stilted performer to begin with, but this time it was like I had just gotten out of a body cast. I mean, it was just like, I was not moving. And then we have what are called the sideline cheers, where you sit and do all sorts of fancy footwork, which I was not going to do because it meant moving my knees, and then you'd see flowery crotch shot. And this is the kind of thing that now, I don't care. But in high school, no way. Like, death before showing my flowery grannies. And so I make it almost through the game, and it's like the 4th quarter, and I just sweat and stilted, and I'm giving myself every kind of cramp to not move. And Anita, meanwhile, in my Spank, she's cartwheeling like a fiend because she's got the guy who, and so, yeah. Anyway, so, Jim Finn's out on the floor, and he's like, pass it to me, pass it to me. And someone effing passes it to him for like the first time, and he sinks it. No. And it is a 3-pointer. And the crowd goes nuts, and my cheerleaders are like, hey, it's you, it's your guy. And I'm like, oh my God, and I jump up, and I'm like, Jim Finn. Oh. Because every single move I have choreographed was designed to show my butt. Because again, 17, good butt. And oh no. So Jim's getting slapped on the back, and he's getting congratulated, and the team runs to the other side, and he looks to me, and I was like, "Yay, Jim!" And I just sit right back down. And just the look on his face, it seems like he stood out there for a half hour waiting for his cheer. He just his face just fell. He was just crushed. And he never sank another basket for the rest of the season, and will not speak to me for the rest of the season. So it's funny because the way that all the stupid girls and jocks have treated me, I've laughed off pretty much since graduation, but the look on Jim's face has haunted me for close to 30 years. And so you guys seem like a really spry crowd. I've taught you the words. I feel like it's time that Jim gets his cheer. I can't do the moves, and if I do a split, you're going to carry me out on a stretcher, but I just think together. Ready? Jim Finn! Hip hip! Rah, Jim! You're not joining me. Rah, Jim! Rah, Finn! Rah, rah, Jim Finn! Let's give a cheer for Finn. Thank you.